Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing and whoever you're doing it to, I hope you're doing it in a school holiday fashion as I'm about to head off to the zoo with Junior for a little bit of love and affection. Actually, Junior and his big brother. So it's going to be three very tall blokes who talk a lot of rubbish going to the zoo. Now, this is the KV4. This is a patron-only post. Let me start that one again. This is a patron-sponsored post. We put a patron-only post up yesterday afternoon. There's going to be another one going up today. This is a throwback tank. If you don't know what Patreon is, by the way, there's a link there. Click along. You can find out how you can sponsor the channel. From as little as $1 a month, blah, 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 blah. Buy me a piano. That'd be fantastic. Right. What am I talking about? The KV4. I've been running a fantastic two-man tag team in this tank with this and the Borsig. You can see I've got Hoodie in the back there in the Borsig, and you'll see great chunks of hit points disappearing from tanks in various parts of this video as I basically soak up damage, there you go, and push tanks around and be a big dog. And that's exactly what the KV4 is. It's a real throwback. When I first started this game, there was so much heavy action. Big armoured heavies really doing the business. And this is why this tank works extremely well. That is a T-34 using AP or APCR, whatever you want. That's the side of a KV4. Look at the thickness on that armour. I had to angle it out to 23 degrees because at less than that as an angle, it just auto bounces. You need to understand, with a Tier X running heat, that's a T110E5 and that's the side of a KV4, running heat angled at 23 degrees and it's all red. The turret and that, fair enough, you're going to get penned, but that's a Tier X tank for God's sakes. And if you can hide your turret and you know how to side scrape and you know how to move your turret around and wiggle it a little bit, this thing will bounce an awful lot of shots. It won't do huge amounts of damage because the gun is not very, very exciting at all. The ZIS 107mm is a 5.41 round per minute, 320 average alpha weapon. It's accurate enough to a point, but it is certainly not going to be a huge deterrent. You can see this STA1. You're very weak, your lower glacis and the top of your turret. And if they want to fire a little bit of premium ammo, they can get through that pretty comfortably. But that's not what you're there for. You're there to find positions to side scrape and angle and just soak up the damage and let the guys behind you put the shots in, because it really is something to behold when it's holding a line. And the reason I've really enjoyed it, and like I do things like this in it all the time, I just run down into the nasties and start dealing damage and angling and bouncing shots off your ass and all kinds of things and just getting, furious about it. And it's fun because there's so many IS-6s, IS-3 defenders and the like out there who have not had to deal with a whole big ass bunch of heavies who can bounce their shots. And this tank can legitimately bounce their shots as long as you know how to angle and you know how to hide your weak points. Now the turret is your weak spot, and a lot of people actually have talked to me in the past. There's one in particular on YouTube, I forget his name, but he'll pop up in this video no doubt in the comments section, who runs the stock turret because it's got a smaller weak point on top, and he claims it is harder to pen. I've not really had a lot of experience with it, but you might want to try that if you'd like. These poor blokes in the Rogue platoon got Hoodie and I in this combo 4 games in a row. This is what I'm talking about. I've driven up here on Winter Malinovka. Now, you're going to see me. I'm going to slow this down. This is something you need to learn to do in the KV4. You over-angle to tanks, and it makes it easier if you know their penetration values. Like, there's an IS up there. He's going to be running, a big derpy gun more than likely, and he's not going to have fantastic penetration values. So you can probably angle more to your right and let the IS get nutted. But at the same time, you can't give him the side of your turret too often, or he will pen it. So what you got to do is get your angles right with your tank, get your angles right with your turret, and it's a lot like driving an E100. You get your angles right with your turret, and then you're going to see me move via the bottom right-hand side of the screen, the actual There you go. The look around bar, I call it. the view bar, however you like. And you'll see I'm not moving the tank. I'm not moving the turret. I've got that angle maintained. And all I'm doing is looking around me as I soak up damage and look at other tanks. And I am in no way, shape, or form trying to get a shot in right now or moving my turret. I've got a good angle. I've got it in a situation where it's very, very difficult for them to pen. Even at this steep angle, like those tanks are going to struggle. And you can see it's just a beast. It's so fantastic like that. And there's Hoodie behind me. Hoodie's behind me wrecking stuff. That's in the Borsig. It's if you find that you've got big, heavy TDs on your team, it's a great idea to get this tank into a position where it can hold a one line. Don't worry sometimes about even firing. It can be one of those tanks where you fire and you look for your shots, but you can see here, I've reloaded. I've not moved the turret at all. I am simply keeping it in a position where I'm soaking up damage and I'm being a focal point for their offense. And I'm letting people around and behind me put shots in. And then they've come out sideways to get that shot. I mean, there's an IS-6 here again. He's going to roll down. We angle to him. You can see me wiggling towards him. He can't pen the side again. The strength of this tank is learning to angle and learning to be that big dog. And I love it because it's so different as a gameplay style than running a medium or, doing any of those things. It's really a different thing, and they get frustrated and they make mistakes. You can see Hoodie just lit that poor old IS-6 up again. He's lost a heap of hit points, and he's going to have enough of it in a sec, and he's going to roll down and try and get a shot my flank, which he will. But to do that, he's going to have to take a shot from the Borsig, which will end him. And we're just using this rock. Now, the rock is important because the rock is hiding my lower glacis. And Hoodie is now using me as a shield, and I'm going to push forward so this IS-6 cannot get a shot at him, and then I'm going to pull back so the IS-6 cannot get a shot at him, and you can see Hoodie's now hiding behind me. I take the shot. Lo and behold, Hoodie's going to pull back. I'm going to hit him, and the Hooster's going to hit him, and he's going to stay hit. That's very, very nice on your Hoodie. Thank you very much for that one. Roll that big derp, I say, because Hoodie is now running the 150mm cannon on the Borsig. And he was talking about the lower cannon, that's why I said roll that big derp. So you've seen how I like to drive the KV4. IS-6s and IS-3 defenders are great, but if you can get this thing in a situation where no one can pen your lower glacis, like the side of a rock, like that, and you can keep wiggling your turret around, you can make life very, very difficult for the guys who are there farming in the IS-6s and the IS-3 defenders. You are easily the most heavily armoured tank at this tier. Your side certs are absolutely incredible. I run a rammer, I run vents, and I run a V-stab on this for the gun handling. There are other options in the guns. You can run the 400 Alpha gun that is very, very Russian, 0.43 dispersion, 4 rounds a minute. Probably weighs out to be about the same DPM, but it's a lot less in terms of penetration values. This one, the gun, the Zis, is definitely the best gun in my opinion for the tank. But if you wanted to run the lower turret, you could try that. It's certainly something I've heard discussed quite a few times, so it must be something that actually works. I do run the stock turret on the M4A3E2 Jumbo, and it works a treat. And that shot that just went in before was from that IS-3 defender up there camping, doing what a heavy does best. I've got the APCR loaded here for this T-54. I really, really want to get rid of him. And you've got to be patient in this tank. I've found a good rock. I've found a good spot. You have horrible traverse. You've got 17 degrees of traverse on your tracks, which is just horrific. And 18 degrees of traverse on your turret, which again is terrifically bad. So you've got to be very patient in your spots and hold the line, because if you don't, what ends up happening... Oh, hello, dog. How you going? What ends up happening... A little intermission there for dog and child. What ends up happening is you can be circle of death very, very comfortably by medium tanks or light tanks. I mean, I can go around a KV4 in the open field absolutely no problems at all. They've also seemed to have a mid-mounted engine, which will stuff you up if you get hit on the side on a flat surface. You can get caught on fire right about the turret area, fire in underneath that turret. I've never checked actually on Armour Inspector, but I'm certain it's got a mid-mounted engine. This IS-8's popping out. We're going to get one on his side. Hoodie's going to get one on his side. He's going to pop out and get the hood start. We've dropped Adrenaline. We want to get another one into him. Very important tank to put some damage into. So even though Hoodie died there, we sold him very, very dearly. Valet the hood start. Well done, mate. And he pops out again. Now, this is 0.38 dispersion. You can see I am side scraping at a distance here. That building is between us. I'm simply side scraping backwards and forwards off the building. He's in an IS-8. He's got a pike nose. When he pulls out again, he's going to expose and flatten that armor surface right there, and we nut him right through the drive wheel area. So it's now 5 on 4. We're looking all right. Back to the traverse numbers. This is one of the reasons why you want to be running very, very secure areas like this rock, etc., where no one can get round you if you don't want them to get round you. It's very, very, very cumbersome. As you can imagine, it's 107 tons worth of tank. It's got 1200 horsepower engine, but it's all about the armor. And if you're playing this one in an open field, like a desert map or something, and you're going out into the dunes, you're just wasting the most important parts of your tank, i.e. your armor profile, because your traverse is rubbish, your DPM is pretty rubbish, your penetration values are actually quite good for a Russian heavy. They're not the best penetration values in the world, but you've got 289 millimeters of pen on your APCR, 227 millimeters of pen on your AP. And the big thing for this tank too is it no longer sees Tier X, and that used to be a bit of a bummer for the KV4. You could still side scrape with it, but it was very, very hard doing damage in Tier X games with this tank, and the T54 is the one I've been after for quite a while to get him happy days. I always get a good win rate in this tank. Now, I've got a great win rate in it on my standard account. I've got a fantastic win rate in it on my exhibition account, because it's just a joy for me to drive, to do something different. Everyone plays the game their own way, and that's fine, but every once in a while it's nice to do something that's a little bit different from the rest of the pack. And I think that's one of the reasons like tanks like the FV215B183 are so popular, because they're unique. They have something that no one else has, or at least they have more of something than anyone else has, and that is definitely something to look out for. Now, I've had to get rid of a little bit of video there for whatever reason. Anyway, so it's hard to have big damage games in this, and the last time I did a review on the KV4, I had a big damage game that I lost at the end on the old Rockfield map. It's a cracker of a tank. It's one I've always enjoyed, and it's absolutely stayed true to form. They nerfed a bit of the hit points when they changed it to 1v1 matchmaking, and I can see why, because in all reality, it was such a strong tank to hold up to the big dogs at Tier X armor-wise. To take that and leave the same hit point pool at Tier 8 would have probably been a little bit overpowered. It gets overlooked by a lot of people. This second Russian line is a fantastic line. The ST1, the IS4, the KV1, the KV3, they all maintain a very nice, solid play style all the way through, and they can side scrape like absolute monsters. So learn to angle, learn to actually use the manual area down the bottom right, where you can look around and look at targets and things while maintaining your angles and driving with your left thumb. I put mine at the bottom right. You can put it wherever you want to, so that you can actually keep an eye on where other tanks are and who you have to angle to and what's going on the map. It's almost like a fire and forget thing. Once you get the angle set on this tank and you are side scraping off a particular area, then, you know, Bob's your mother's brother. No one's going to pen it. It's fantastic for that stuff. And you also have to remember, stay with your team when you have to. Like, if everyone goes desert on desert sands, go to the desert. If everyone bails on you on Falls Creek or something, and whatever happens, but when push comes to shove, find yourself some hard cover. A rock you can get behind, a wall you can side scrape off, because when people try and go around you, you need to be able to pin them because your traverse numbers are absolutely god-awful. So there you go, guys. That's the KV4. A little bit of an early days of Blitz throwback, this thing. It's got a whole lot of skills. It's got a whole lot of fun. Why don't you check it out? Drive up that second Russian heavy line. I adore it. Anyway, boys and girls, there's lots more coming. There's an M48A1 video coming. There's an STB1 video coming. There's a Panther 2 video coming. There's going to be a Tiger P video very nearly down the track. I've got a big DERP thing for the patrons coming up, as well as in the next couple of days an RU251 video with a couple of secret spots in it, and a how-to guide on flanking and using the HE on the 251. That's going to be a patron only, those two last ones. So if you haven't considered sponsoring the channel, please do, and you get access to that stuff as well. I'm Bushka on Blitz. You're bloody wonderful human beings. Stay safe on the battlefield.